Hi friends, how are we today? I have a little bit of a throat chakra cleansing going on at the moment, as you can probably hear. So please excuse me if I sound a little froggy. Um, so today I'd really like for us to feel into a place that I am experiencing a lot of at the moment. And it's a space inside that's almost like a craving, like a yearning for something or for an outcome or for an item or an object or a state of being, that kind of like burning desire, but in a really overwhelming way. And I can find myself practicing my meditations as usual, which is like anything from the guitar to walking to yoga to actual meditation or third eye exercises, focus exercises, whatever it is. I spend a lot of my day in moving prayer, in meditation. And so when I'm tuning into a space and my mind is being taken elsewhere, I try to channel it into what I'm doing. For example, using that energy consciously and saying, okay, well, if my mind is going to this place, I'm just going to imagine it flowing through my fingers into this guitar, like this image. I'm just going to imagine using that energy, bringing it down into my sacral center and letting it fill me up with a nourishment, a different kind of energy. Letting it flow around the toroid, for example, is another way. Kind of feeling into what feels good for you or finding a guide to help you with that. But I find it's really important because our attention is drawn in so many different places each day. And most of us are so unaware of it that, we're like constantly waiting to check our phones and, like, oh, I'm waiting for a message, or like, I'm just checking to see who's messaged, or what's the time, and this incessant need to know is a real common theme for a lot of us. And I'm not saying that's bad or wrong. Who am I to judge? This could be completely necessary for the expansion of humanity. It is, however, more challenging to align myself with peace and tranquility when it's almost like the mind is this echo of the technology we've created from the mind for the mind, universal mind or otherwise. And as I'm becoming more and more aware of what's happening within my body and where my attention is drawn, and being lucky enough to be accepted into spaces that are designed to rewire our thoughts and our energy fields and our expectations for what we are programmed to experience, I feel so lucky to be alive. And I want to amplify the things that make me feel alive, like going for a walk, like being out in nature, like talking to someone and them really seeing you and hearing you and feeling you. And I find actually that for me, my design as a Gemini, Sun, Mercury, and Venus, that when I'm speaking and I'm channeling, like when I'm connected in, like now, it's not me that's talking, I'm channeling through God source energy. So this is the only time I find myself completely present, truly completely present, because it is my design. This is what I'm innately designed for as a structure. And I challenge myself in ways with my body, which is my Chiron in Virgo, and critical thinking is related to that too. There's a lot of ways in which we can challenge our designs and enjoy life in these physical vessels. And we can really utilize the places and spaces in which our talent is truly appreciated. And when I reflect on, for example, past relationships or friendships, or, even sometimes the relationship I have with my mind still, about how, oh, you should shut up, or, find no one wants to hear this, or find someone else to talk to that about, the comments that we make, we doubt what comes out our mouth before it's even come out. And that can lead to so many vicious brain worms that just latch onto something that's never been said or expressed. Like, maybe all you needed to do was tell your partner, like, that woman fancies you and it makes me uncomfortable, or I feel vulnerable and I don't like the way that is happening, da 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 da. Just saying it out loud and allowing it to exist, allowing it to be free, allowing us to speak the thought, not in a negative, blameful way, but in a way that is really calm and kind to ourselves and our humanness. Because the minute we give it that expression, we can see it for what it really is, which is a vulnerability or a pain or an expression of hurt, of love, of misguided care. And I'm not saying we all need to know these things. I feel like it will innately happen, as culture tends to do. It permeates through once enough people do. And it's my pleasure to experience and express and experiment with different ways that innately feel good and unique for my being. It is also my pleasure and privilege and honor to work with others through my work, where I get to experience what works for them and thus learn more about myself and gain different clarities and clarifications about how I can integrate that for future references. I think one thing I do know or notice is we are all very similar at our core. We might have different programming and different patternings, but the core emotion, the core understanding of self, the core story is usually very similar with all of us. And we have a real tendency to just project onto the outer world or the outer people exactly how we feel about ourselves. And each of us create a slightly different flavor of that, but that's where we are. Yeah. So I feel like that's everything that wants to come through from me today. It's a real pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to serve with you here on Earth. And yeah, I guess I feel called to say that I share the real me here. Many people aren't fully able to receive me or experience me. And even if they can, there's always judgment, or there can be judgment. It's not always, that's a generalization, does not make a story. But with a lot of my experience, that has been the case. So I do have a trauma or a sore vulnerability around how I'm seen and being seen. I often feel like I can't express myself fully because um, I'm going to be judged, I'm going to be misunderstood, and I know that a lot of us have an echo of that in our patternings. So this YouTube for me is an experimentation, not only to share my work and put my heart out there, but also to be vulnerable and to face this vulnerable fear of being truly seen and either rejected or accepted, right? Because once we step into that space of authenticity and speaking our truth, speaking how we're really feeling, and being able to navigate that in a way that's really aligned and useful for people, for ourselves to integrate, the right people just find us at the right time. And I know that's always been my experience, but now I get to share it here as well. So it's a real blessing to journey with you, and I look forward to what unfolds. All unfolds in the perfect way. And so it is. See you tomorrow.